Relief in New York as the stock exchange ended the week higher, posting its second consecutive weekly gain, despite recent banking turmoil on both sides of the Atlantic. Speaking in Canada on Friday, US President Joe Biden tried again to reassure the markets.
The banks are in pretty good shape. What's going on in Europe isn't a direct consequence of what's happening in the United States.
On Friday, Deutsche Bank shares plunged as much as 14%, their biggest loss since 2020, adding to fears of a looming banking crisis. But German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said there was nothing to worry about.
Versetzt uns alle in die Lage zu sagen, dass die europäische Bankenaufsicht und das Finanzsystem robust und stabil dastehen und dass wir eine widerstandsfähige Kapitalausstattung der europäischen Banken haben.
The world leaders' comments follow the collapse of two regional banks in the US and the emergency takeover of Switzerland's second largest bank, Credit Suisse, by rival UBS.
Ukrainian troops defending the eastern city of Bakhmut from a months-long Russian assault say they're managing to stabilize the situation and hope to soon see the opportunity for a counterstrike. Meanwhile, a delivery of 8 German-made Leopard tanks sent by Norway has arrived in Ukraine. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg praised Oslo's contribution.
I welcome Norway's significant financial, humanitarian and military aid to Ukraine. This includes air defense systems, tanks, artillery ammunition and training for Ukrainian soldiers. We must continue to provide Ukraine with what they need to prevail for as long as it takes.
The NATO leader also welcomed the prospect of Finland and Sweden's membership, saying their accession would make the alliance stronger.
Burned rubbish bins and smashed glass littered the streets of Paris and other French cities, the aftermath from the latest round of pension reform protests sweeping the country. The ongoing unrest prompted Britain's King Charles to postpone a state visit due to safety concerns. Speaking in Brussels on Friday, French President Emmanuel Macron condemned the violence, but said that he was open to dialogue with unions.
J'ai moi-même mercredi indiqué notre disponibilité à avancer sur des sujets comme l'usure professionnelle, les fins de carrière, les reconversions, l'évolution des carrières, les conditions de travail, les rémunérations dans certaines branches. Et donc je suis à la disposition de l'intersyndicale si elle souhaite venir me rencontrer pour avancer sur tous ces sujets.
The impact of the protests is also being seen at the petrol pump. On Friday, security forces blocked the entrance of a Total refinery in northern France, where some employees have been requisitioned despite an ongoing strike to supply the Ile-de-France region with fuel.
This year's United Nations Water Conference has closed with the adoption of a milestone action plan containing almost 700 commitments to protect water.
All of humanity's hopes for the future depend in some way on charting a new science-based course to bring the water action agenda to life.
Member states have pledged $300 billion to the Water Action Agenda, which sets out a series of commitments from making smarter food choices to re-evaluating water as a powerful economic driver. A new US-Canada border deal meant to halt the flow of asylum seekers at unofficial border crossings will go into effect at midnight on Saturday. The immigration deal was announced by US President Joe Biden and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau after a meeting in Ottawa. The move shuts down a process that has enabled tens of thousands of immigrants from across the world to move between the two countries and pursue asylum cases without going through an official border crossing. 3 fragments from Athens' Parthenon Temple, kept by the Vatican for centuries, have been returned to Greece in what Pope Francis has called a gesture of friendship. The fragments represent a horse and 2 male heads and will be added to the collection at the Acropolis Museum. The move renews the pressure on London's British Museum to hand back a collection of sculptures taken from the ancient site more than 200 years ago.